Welcome back, my dear brothers and sisters and dear viewers. We were discussing before the break the topic of Tawheed. Chapter number 1, the author said, At-Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. So this is the title. At-Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. And the author, rahimahullah, first of all, he puts the title, then he brings and quotes the relevant proofs and evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah that supports that title. Are you following? The title, then he will bring the relevant proofs, evidence, ayah or hadith that fits under this title. Are you following? Now, he said, At-Tawheed. And immediately he said, Allah said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And I, Allah, created not the jinns and men except they should worship me alone. Worship me alone. Surah 51, ayah 56. Now, this ayah, does it have any relevance to the title? Is it relevant to the title? Yes. Because Allah is saying, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا يَعْبُدُونَ. And remember, the whole book is about the unity of ibadah, uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-uluhiyyah. So the ayah is very relevant to the chapter, to the title. Now, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ. We know the jinn and the ins. Jinn, they are invisible creatures, we don't see them, and the ins, human beings. Is this clear? The jinn, they are from the root Jim and Noon. This root, anything derived from this root, it means something invisible. Something what? Anything derived from this root, it means something you cannot see. That's why they are called jinn. They are called what? Jinn, because we cannot see them. We have Jannah. Jannah means what? Garden. Why it is called Jannah? The garden that has a lot of trees. So when you are inside, the one outside cannot see you. That's why it's called what? Jannah. One outside, because of the density, the many trees, he cannot see you inside. Are you following? We have Janeen. Janeen. What's the meaning of Janeen? Embryo. A child in his mother's womb. The fetus. It's called Janeen. Why we call it Janeen? Because we cannot see that little baby. We have Junnah. We have what? Junnah. Junnah means shield. You know the shield? In the past they would use the shield when they are fighting. It's called Junnah. Why it's called Junnah? Because it protects and you hide yourself behind the shield. Understand? So that's why this root, Jim Noon, anything derived from it, it means something you cannot see. And the jinn, they are indeed creatures. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them. And they are Muslims and non-Muslims. Believers and non-believers. Surah Al-Jinn talks clearly about this. And you know that they came to the Prophet ﷺ, those who became Muslims. They came, a delegation came to Makkah, and they met the Prophet ﷺ. It's called the delegation of Nasibain. They came from Yemen. And the Prophet ﷺ, he spent the whole night with them. Because the message of the Prophet ﷺ is not only for us, mankind, it's also for the jinn. They came, he taught them the halal and the haram. The whole night the Prophet ﷺ, he spent with them. Even they asked him for food. Food for themselves and food for their animals. Said, your food will be the bone of any animal that when that animal was slaughtered, Allah's name was mentioned. So the bones, they will be full of flesh for them. So that will be their food. And for the animals, the droppings or the dung of the animals, that will be food for their riding beasts. So, and he was reading the Prophet ﷺ to them Surah Al-Rahman the whole night. And whenever the Prophet ﷺ was read, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ, they would say, we don't deny any of your blessings, O our Rabb. So the message is addressed to both the jinn and mankind. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that the jinn are three types. They are what? Three types. الجن ثلاثة أصناف قسم يطير وقسم على شكل حيات وكلاب وقسم يضعنون ويقيمون معكم. So the Prophet ﷺ said that the jinn are three types, and this hadith is authentic hadith in Sunan Sa'id bin Mansur. He said the jinn are three types. One type, they fly. One type of jinn fly, they fly. Second type, they take the forms of snakes and dogs. And the third type, they dwell with you, they live with you in your houses. So we have three types of the jinn. One type of the jinn, they fly. So if you see someone flying, who's carrying him? The jinn. Because no human being can fly. But when you disbelieve in Allah, then the jinn, they can help you and they can carry you and you can fly. Or you can walk on the water. That's why Imam Shafi'i said, rahimahullah, إذا رأيتم الرجل يطير في الهواء أو يمشي على الماء فلا تصدقوه حتى تعرضوه على الكتاب والسنة. Imam Shafi'i said, if you see a man flying in the air or walking on the water, don't believe him until you check him according to Kitab and Sunnah. Is he following the Quran and Sunnah or not? If he is not, then the jinn are helping him. If he is following the Quran and Sunnah, that is what we call karama. Because the Sahaba, karama is minor miracle. The miracle is called mu'jiza, that is for prophets and messengers. For the saints or holy men or pious men or righteous men, it's called karama. Are you following? And we believe in the karama as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. There are proof for the karama in the Quran and in the Sunnah. You know, in the Quran about Maryam alayhi salam. كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا. Surah Maryam. Every time Zachariah alayhi salam would visit Mary, he would find fruit of different season. The fruit of the winter in summer, fruit of the summer in winter. How come? He said, this is from Allah. So this is a karama for Maryam alayhi salam, for Mary. When Allah told her to shake the palm tree when she was delivered, he would land on the plain of the hill. And the people would say, he is a wali of Allah, holy man. He said, yes, he is a wali of the shaitan. And he wrote a book, Al-Furqan, Bayna Awliya Ar-Rahman wa Awliya Shaitan. That's the reason why he wrote that book. The criterion between Allah's awliya and the devil's awliya. It's a beautiful book and you can download it. It's there on the net. The criterion between Allah's awliya and the devil's awliya. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us now that the jinn are three types. One, they fly. So now we know them. The second type, they take different shapes or different forms. They have the ability to, because they can come in the form of a human being. All you know the hadith of Abu Hurairah, right? Abu Hurairah, when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam appointed Abu Hurairah to guard at night the pile of dates, and this thief came and was taking the date. And Abu Hurairah caught him. He said, please Abu Hurairah, forgive me, I have poor children and we don't have food and I will not do it again. In the morning he told the Prophet ﷺ, he told him, he lied to you. He's going to come back. And he came back. Abu Hurairah caught him. He gave the same excuse. This happened 3 times. The third time Abu Hurairah said, I will not let you go. He said, Abu Hurairah, I will teach you something. If you read it before you go to sleep, no devil, no shaitan come close to you. Ayatul Kursi. So who was that? Shaitan. So shaitan came in the form of a human being. So they have this ability. So here the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that they take the form of snakes or dogs. And the Prophet ﷺ specifically he mentioned the black dog. And when he was asked why the black dog, he said the black dog is a shaitan. That's why if you are praying and a black dog passes in front of you, you have to repeat your salah. You have to repeat your salah. If you have no sutra, you know sutra? Something raised above the ground. So if this dog passes between you and the sutra, you have to repeat your salah. And the third type of the jinn, the Prophet ﷺ said, they live with you in the toilets. That's why before you go to the toilet, what do you say? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubith wal-khaba'ith. The khubith, the males, and the khaba'ith, the females. So that's where the jinn live, in toilets. And the jinn always, they live in dirty places. So now we know the meaning of jinn, okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. He created jinn and mankind only to worship Him alone. Okay, brothers and sisters, inshallah, we will continue chapter 1 in the coming episode. Till then, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
He created the universe, to Him belong the heavens and the earth. The ever-living, He is the first. He's the owner of mercy. He sent His messengers to warn His creatures of the grave dangers of worshiping of the